Welcome everybody to another segment of the Other Epic Story reading. If this is your first time here, I recommend you check out my previous episodes so you could get caught up before we start, because today we're starting chapter 3 of my epic dystopian fantasy. Chapter 3. Frank Elias' father was a sheriff of North Bourbon before he inherited the role. It had been a difficult year for the Elias family. One string of death led to another. It began with his mother, who died of a cough that nobody considered serious until it was. Then a menstruating cow trampled his big brother Kylie, dragging him 20 strings before abandoning his corpse in a ditch. A week later, he discovered his father dead under his bed sheets. At the age of 16, Frank became an orphan and the last bearer of the Elias name. In his father's will, he found all the instructions needed to fulfill the duty of sheriff, an occupation destined to be his. But so soon. 3 days after his father's death, he emerged from the house dressed in his old man's attire, except for undergarments. He admired his father, but not to that extent. He strapped the belt on proudly. The giant buckle in the geographic shape of North Bourbon made his waist look thin, but he didn't let it bother him. The hat made his head look deflated, but he held it high. Dressed like the man he would soon become, he marched across town in his daddy's size 10 boots. Only until he walked into the sheriff's office, which also doubled as a temporary prison, did he feel the weight of the job. North Bourbon's jail cell never held any criminals of great distinct. All that were kept in there were town drunks and adolescent vandals. Aside from petty theft and occasional reports of loitering and civil disputes, North Bourbon was a safe place to live, grow, and die. A man will survive as long as he has to. Elias had made sure of it. He found that all his dad's belongings neatly placed on the table. A stack of top-quality paper, a thick pen, and a nameplate that said Sheriff Harmon Elias sat on the desk. Elias picked up the pen, twirled it between his fingers, and then set it down. He scanned the room and felt suddenly jaded by his new authority. He always wanted to share duties with his father. To work alongside him would have been a great honor. Harmon Elias was a hero. At least, that was how he was treated. Whenever Frank walked down the street with his father, people would greet him with utmost respect. They would thank him and bow their heads. He would receive gifts in a time where respect trumps charity. There was a sense of pride knowing that his father was of such great importance. It painted a wonderful picture of what he should expect in the future. Now that he was sitting in his chair, wearing his holster, and guarding his prison, he realized that people of North Bourbon did not adorn his father with praise or admiration. They were simply fearful of Harmon Elias' wrath. The only firearm in the whole city was an heirloom passed down by the Elias forefathers, all of which has served as sheriff of the town. It was that little pistol that separated them from the other starving farmers and tradesmen. It was not the skilled policing of his father or the high rank of the Elias name that made them so highly regarded. It was the gun and the 6 bullets that made them men among ants. Elias understood now why his father never allowed him to hold the weapon. As a toddler, Elias could be found imitating his dad, transforming his finger into a gun and aiming it at his brother. Bang! When his father caught him, he was hauled away and punished. A strict lesson was taught that day, and Elias never forgot it. "One day it will be yours," said Harmon Elias in his disciplinarian voice. "One day you and Kylie would take my place. The gun and the bullets within will be yours. I need you to be confident that you will learn to respect it as much as you respect me. Do you understand?" Frank nodded impatiently. "Listen," his dad demanded. You'll make mistakes in your life, that much is certain, but a mistake made with the gun is not one that can be reversed. It is one you'll have to live with forever. You kill someone with this gun, you will kill someone on behalf of the Elias name. It is not only you pulling the trigger, Frank. Everyone you ever loved will be with you in that moment. You fire that bullet and you take a man's life, you will deal with the consequences. You'll be damn well sure there will be consequences. You understand? Yes, Dad, said Elias. I won't pretend anymore. Good, said his father, tall and proud. I don't want you walking around the streets doing that. People look up to us, Frank. We are the face of the town. We must be presentable at all times. Disgraceful acts like that are meant for kids who work in the mills, not for the sheriff's son. Okay, he said. I understand. I'll make you proud. I know you will. The thought of his father brought mist to his eyes as he leaned back in his dad's chair. He no longer wanted to be the sheriff of the town. All his childish dreams of strutting down the boulevard suddenly felt too real. He wasn't his father. He wasn't proud. Born skinny, Frank Elias was always pushed around by other children his age. That was until his father came to his rescue. His father was gone now, forever. Reality bit hard. It was easy sitting around with his legs up, watching the incapacitated drunks in their little cell. But what would he do during a crisis? What would he do if trouble revealed its evil grin and he would be called upon to wipe the smile off? He hung his head, buried his face in his hands, and wished for more guidance from his father. Could he really capture the bandit when time came? Could he even apprehend a drunkard from the bar? Him and his frail little body was unlikely to do anything useful as the law. A time will come when a desperate situation will call Elias to action, and under the pressure he will lose his wits and pull out his gun. Then what? Elias shook the thought out of his head. He needed to boost his confidence. He needed to breathe. North Bourbon was chillier than anyone would want it to be. Sitting on the bypass of the eastern wind, Elias's little town was always in danger of being blown away by a gust. Today, the weather was modest and forgiving, a long way until the Burmel everyone expected. Elias walked out of his office into the chill. There he surveyed his town in a way he never did before. His neighbors and fellow townspeople looked up from their works as he passed. He offered his boyish smile, and they returned a look of condolence and uncertain revere. Like bowing to a small boy, both parties felt awkward when Elias received the gesture of respect. He didn't deserve it, and they knew it. "Oh, my boy," said the miller's wife, greeting him with open arms. "Please, accept my condolence. Your father and your family had been nothing but gracious to us for all those years. I feel there must be some way to repay you." "Thank you, Mrs. Winstead," said Elias, taking her hand. "There will be a day when I shall come to you for assistance, I am sure. Then, in my time of need, you can pay back all the debts you owe my family. For now, I ask nothing." "Please, take with you some of our family's finest cereal," said the lady. "It is all I can do, but it'll keep you full and well. Our wheat will make you strong, like your father." "I cannot accept," said Elias as he watched the old lady reach for a bag of grain and oat. "I live alone now, and there is no one to share my wealth. If I was to accept your offering, then the food that remains in my cupboard will be wasted. I cannot allow that, so please keep your cereal, though I do thank you for your generosity." "You are too kind," said Winstead. "Like your father. If he could see you now." "May he rest in peace," said Elias, forcing a brave smile for the lady to appreciate.